Hey folks, Ray from DCRainmaker.com here. Today I've got the new Garmin Fenix 5 series. And now you may be wondering what happened to the Fenix 4 that sits in between the Fenix 3 that was released 2 years ago, the Fenix 3 HR a year ago, and now here the Fenix 5. Well, Fenix 4 in Chinese roughly translates to rise to fast death. So Garmin didn't really want to go with the fast death on the Fenix 5 or Fenix 4, so they went ahead and went with the Fenix 5 series instead, which certainly isn't uncommon for companies to skip numerals along the way. So you may be wondering what's different about the Fenix 5. Now, first off, it comes in 3 different series. There's the Fenix 5, the Fenix 5S, as well as the Fenix 5X. Those 3 basically refer to 3 different price points and 3 different sizes. So you have the Fenix 5S, which roughly translates to Fenix 5 small or slim. It doesn't, it's not officially meaning that, but it's a smaller unit. It's this one here I have in my hand, and it's a bit smaller, designed for smaller wrists or basically females or women runner that in the past the Fenix 5 series was simply too big for. Then you have the Fenix 5 without any alpha character after it. That's kind of the standard line up there, and that is roughly the same size as in the past. And then finally you have the Fenix 5X, which is a larger unit that has mapping on it. So those being your 3 kind of main categories there. Within that though, each one of those has 2 additional categories, one for sapphire glass and one with regular glass. And then the Fenix 5X only has sapphire glass. So again, to kind of recap those really quickly, you have at the smallest end, you have the Fenix 5S, both non-sapphire and sapphire, the Fenix 5, non-sapphire and sapphire, and then finally the Fenix 5X. I put the prices down below on the screen there for all the different models because, quite frankly, there's too many prices and models to try to keep track of. So what has changed in the models? So aside from the naming and the sizing, there's also a lot of internal changes. For example, on the back of it, the optical heart rate sensor, the technology has been updated within that to be able to do higher rate sampling. So now it's sampling literally 24/7 at every second, and then saving that data up to Garmin Connect. You may not notice a difference though in terms of what you're seeing on the Garmin Connect apps from the day-to-day kind of plots there. But behind the scenes, Garmin says they're doing much higher accuracy level of the numbers they give back to you by doing this higher rate accuracy or higher rate sampling they didn't previously have there. In addition, you'll see that the elevated sensor, or the Garmin Elevate sensor, is much more blended into the bottom of the unit itself, which is now all stainless steel on all units, opposed to being plastic on some of the past Garmin Fenix series. So that's a much cleaner look, and it's much slimmer than it used to be in the past as well. Next, the displays went bumped up from 218 by 218 pixels to 240 by 240 pixels. A minor change there. With that larger screen size, developers can go and take advantage of those 240 by 240 pixels, but they're also getting with the Connect IQ enhancements as well. So this now supports more memory for Connect IQ apps, as well as more processing power for Connect IQ apps, essentially matching kind of the Garmin Chrono series that came out this past summer. In addition, you can see more colors like the Garmin Chrono series. So this now has 64 colors compared to 16 colors on the Fenix 3 series. So you can see some of these minor things that you may not notice at first glance, but you'll probably notice as apps start to take advantage of them. So the user interface, or the UI as it's called, is a bit changed on the Fenix 5 series. It's kind of just cleaned up a little bit. Nothing dramatic, and certainly if you've gone from the Fenix 3 in the past to the Fenix 5 now, you'll see there are just kind of nuanced and small things that you may have noticed in the UI to make it a little bit cleaner. For example, there's now a dedicated page to training status that includes metrics like overtraining or undertraining, or whether you're peaking. They've also consolidated some of the training load features as well, like VO2 max and lactate threshold, into this single consolidated menu as well. Along those same lines, you can go ahead and customize your watch face. So there's actually now 4 essentially mini data fields on the watch face by default that you can customize to different metrics as you see fit. At the same time, you can hold down one of the left buttons there, the upper left button, to go ahead and access basically like a quick control panel of apps and functions and basically widgets within your Fenix 5 series. So again, more kind of optimization of the user interface to make things look a little bit cleaner. In addition, on the software front, there's a bunch of changes when it comes to sensors compared to the Fenix 3 series. For example, now you have the VariVision radar, VariVision lights, the ability to do Di2 shifting, as well as AMP+ shiftings for things like SRAM ETAP and the Campy EPS system. All those are being added here that weren't there in the past. You've also now got Strava running segments and cycling segments, which again you didn't have in the past series, but you saw on the Garmin Forerunner 735 XT. Those are all added into the watch as well. You also see Garmin extended to supporting MOXIE sensors with muscle oxygenation sensors. And then finally, and here's a really big one, you see Bluetooth smart heart rate sensor support. That's something that this is the first time we've seen on any Garmin watch or any Garmin device at all, Bluetooth smart sensor support. And that's a pretty big deal. That means that, Garmin is no longer focused on just ANT+ sensors, but now bridging into kind of a more inclusive ecosystem. Right now, it's just the heart rate sensor, but Garmin says they're looking forward to adding more sensor types here in the very near future. They're just simply working through some of the standards issues before they roll those out. Sliding back into the hardware here for a moment, you're going to notice that there's a whole bunch of new bands out there, and Garmin's dubbed these now quick fit bands, and what these do is they snap on and off very, very quickly. So in the past, you had to use a screwdriver to remove them. Now you can go ahead and just press a single button, they pop right off. Very, very easy to do. You can see there's a ton of bands here that they have different styles and different sizes depending on which watch you're on, whether you're on the 5S or the 5 series. You're going to have different basically pole length there, so keep that in mind. One downside, though, that Garmin's done here is they've separated the ability to have Wi-Fi connectivity. So in the past, Wi-Fi was offered on all Fenix 3 units. Now it's not. Now it's only offered on the Sapphire glass editions and on the 5X. So if you get this, basically the 5S, the smaller one, without Sapphire glass, or essentially the cheaper one, you're not going to have Wi-Fi anymore. It's just going to be Bluetooth smart connectivity or USB connectivity to upload activities. So do keep that in mind. That's same as well for the base 5 series. The 5X, however, with the mapping, does go ahead and have Wi-Fi on both of the two models there. So speaking of that 5X, that is really the granddaddy of Garmin watches. And so you saw maybe a couple years ago with the Garmin Epic series, the ability to have routing and mapping on the watch itself. That watch didn't exactly sell all that well, but now they've pulled that into the Fenix series with the Fenix 5X, which has a bigger capacity in it, both storage as well as processing and battery power to be able to handle that mapping. So within that, you can go ahead and you can display your current location on maps. These are completely routable maps, which means that you can go into things like round-trip routing and courses and have it generate maps for you. Round-trip routing is really, really cool and something we saw show up on the Garmin Edge lineup a couple years back. That allows you to take a single location where you are right now and then give it a distance, for example, 5 miles or 8 kilometers or whatever you'd like it to be, and it'll go off and come back with 3 different route options for you. What's cool here is you can also choose whether or not to go to the north, the south, the east, or the west. So for example, right now I'm kind of the Las Vegas Strip, so I really don't want to go running towards the Strip, so I would choose another direction besides that. So just some of the minor touches though that make it really nice for finding a running route. This is true of running as well as cycling also, so it's going to support both of those types of activities. Last but not least on the hardware front, we've got the addition of the gyroscope across all 3 models, whether it be the Fenix 5, the 5S, or the 5X. The gyroscope was not seen in the previous Fenix editions, and what that gives Garmin the ability to do is to have more precise control over ultra track, which in turn gives them longer battery life for folks doing really long activities. So ultra track on the Fenix 5 series is up to 75 hours, but they're trying to push that closer to 100 hours if they can get there, but officially it's 75 hours. And what's happening with the gyroscope now is it's going to go ahead and basically use the data in here to figure out if you're moving in a straight line, if you're moving left or right, and basically allow them to give better interpolation on the mapping itself. It's pretty darn cool stuff. It'd be nice to see them push up to closer to 100 hours as they're trying to do, but also have higher fidelity data, which is really the goal here. So yes, they've increased it from in the past, the 50-ish or so hours up to 75, but Garmin says in addition to that, they've also increased the fidelity of the data, or basically how the track data looks, so it's not so jaggy anymore. So with that, thanks for watching. I've got plenty more Garmin news on the way, including Garmin Fenix videos that you can check out and watch. You can make sure you stay tuned for all those by hitting the subscribe button down below. And if you found this useful, go ahead and whack that like button as well. Have a good one.